So guys, welcome to our channel once again. In today's video, we have here these 20 questions to answer on the topic adaptation for survival and evolution. So guys, this video will be about evolution. So in short, stay till the end of this video. So let's quickly start with the first question here. It says, the phenomenon whereby some organisms get established in an environment after struggling for existence by taking advantage of some special features possessed by the organism is called A. Partial selection, B. Natural selection, C. Artificial selection, D. Mutation. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's natural selection. The natural selection is a process where the organisms that are better adapted to their environments tend to survive and produce more offspring. So that's the answer to this question. Let's consider the next question, guys. That's question number 2. It says, the theory of survival of the fittest was propounded by A. Lamarck, B. Linnaeus, C. Mendel, D. Darwin. So guys, the answer to this question is option D here, and that's Darwin. So let's quickly look at the next question. Question number 3. It says, which of the following is not included in the theory of natural selection? A. Disappearance of functionless organs. B. Offspring show variation. C. Inheritance of adaptive structures. D. Struggle for existence. So guys, the answer to this question is option A here, and that's disappearance of functionless organs. The theory of natural selection includes the concept of struggling for existence, offspring showing variation, and inheritance of adaptive structures. But guys, it does not include the concept of disappearance of functionless organs. Actually, this is because of the fact that natural selection does not necessarily lead to the disappearance of functionless organs. These organs may actually persist in a population if they do not confer a significant disadvantage to the individual possessing them. So with that, option A is the answer to this question. So let's consider the next question, guys. Question number 4. It says, which of the following can be considered as a direct evidence of evolution? A. Comparative anatomy, B. Fossil record, C. Classification, D. Comparative embryology. So guys, the answer to this question is option B here, and that's the fossil record. Fossil record is actually considered as a direct evidence of evolution. They are actually preserved remains of traces of animals, plants, and other organisms that are from the past. So they have changed and developed and become more complex. So this change and development can be seen in the fossil record, making it's a direct evidence of evolution. So let's consider the next question here. Question number 5. It says, in evolution, fossils are naturally preserved in A. trees, B. water, C. chemicals, D. rocks. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's rocks. So let's consider the next question. Question number 6. A scientist who was involved in the development of evolution theory is A. Pasteur, B. Lamarck, C. Morgan, D. Mendel. So guys, the answer to this question is option B here, and that's Lamarck. So Jean-Baptiste Lamarck was the French biologist who was one of the first to propose that evolution occurred, and he is actually known for the theory of inheritance of acquired characteristics. So that's it for that question. Let's consider the next question. Question number 7. It says, natural selection arises as a result of A. climate change, B. gene mutation, C, change of habitat, and D, reduction in population. So guys, the answer to this question here will be option B. Actually, gene mutation provides a kind of raw material for organic evolution through natural selection of new species. So that's it for that question. So let's consider the next question. Question number 8. It says the inability of an organism to adapt to its habitat can lead to A, extinction, B, survival, C, adaptation, D, dormancy. So I believe you must have guessed the correct answer to this question rightly, and that's option A here. The inability of an organism to adapt to its habitat can lead to extinction. So let's consider the next question, guys. Question number 9. It says, who proposed the theory of evolution by natural selection? We have options A, Linnaeus, B, Aristotle, C, Darwin, D, Lamarck. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's Darwin. So Charles Darwin actually proposed the theory of natural selection. So let's consider the next question. Question number 10. The theory of evolution by natural selection was first put forward by A, Aristotle, B, Linnaeus, C, Boyle, and D, Darwin. So guys, like we've answered in the previous question, this theory was put forward by Charles Darwin. So let's consider the next question. Question number 11. It says, which of the following components of Lamarck's theory of evolution is considered faulty? A, changes that result in individuals of the same species are transmitted to offspring. B, use of certain organs results in development of those parts. C, individuals of the same species growing under different environmental conditions differ from each other. D, unused organs degenerate. So guys, the answer to this question is option B here. Use of certain organs results in development of those parts. Alright, so guys, that's it for that question. Let's consider the next question, and that's question number 12 here. It says, okay, the allele responsible for sickle cell anemia first appeared in the tropical and subtropical regions of Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. It entered the United States of America when individuals were forcibly brought over from Africa. In microevolutionary terms, this is an example of A, gene flow, B, natural selection, C, mutation, D, genetic drift. So guys, the answer to this question is option A here, and that's gene flow. Gene flow refers to the movement of genes from one population of organisms to another. This results when individuals from two populations interbreed. So that's it for that question. Let's consider the next question. Question number 13. It says, which of the following sequences is the correct evolutionary trend in plants? So we have liverwort, mosses, ferns, and algae. B, ferns, liverwort, mosses, and algae. C, algae, liverwort, mosses, and fern. D, mosses, algae, ferns, and liverwort. So guys, the answer to this question here is option C. Algae are the thallophytes, and they're actually the simplest of this group. So from the algae, you'll have the liverworts and then the mosses. Actually, the mosses are bryophytes, and then finally you have the ferns, which are more of vascular plants though. So this is actually the correct sequence of their evolution, since in this order they move from the simplest to the more complex. So that's it for that. Let's consider the next question. Question number 14. It says, which of the following statements is not Lamarck's postulate on evolution? A. Frequently used organs become well developed, while the ones not used become vestigial. B. Survivors in a competitive community must have inherited useful traits. C. Well-developed acquired characteristics are inheritable. And D. Great changes in the environment result in corresponding changes in species. So guys, the answer to this question is option B here. Survivors in a competitive community must have inherited useful traits. So this is not Lamarck's postulates, and that's the correct answer to this question. So let's consider the next question, guys. Question number 15. It says, the statements below are about evolution of species. 1. Members of a species vary. 2. Organisms produce many offspring. 3. The mechanism of evolution is inheritance of acquired characters. 4. Changes in the phenotype is brought about by the individual itself. So now the question says, which of the statements is or are related to Darwin's theory of evolution? We have I only, we have I and IV, we have I and I only, and then we have I only. So guys, considering the options here, option C is the correct answer here, I and II. So the members of a species vary, and then organisms produce many offspring, are more aligned to Darwin's theory. So Darwin's theory of evolution is actually also known as Darwinism, and it includes two key ideas, and they are the fact that evolution occurs, and then that evolution occurs through natural selection. So the statement number 1 here, or I, that members of species vary, refers to the concept of the variation, which is a fundamental aspect of the Darwinism theory, and showing that variation actually occurs. So the second one, organisms produce many offspring, refers to the concept of overproduction, which is also a key aspect of Darwin's theory. So overproduction actually leads to competition for sources, and then those individuals with advantageous variation are now more likely to survive in the group. So that's it for that question, and let's consider the next question. Question number 16. It says, which of the following occurrences cannot be taken as a direct observation of natural selection in recent times? A. Insecticide resistance of some mosquitoes. B. Selective breeding in cattle. C. Industrial melanism in moths. And D. Development of long necks in giraffes. So guys, the answer to this question here will be option B, and that's selective breeding in cattle. Actually, selective breeding in cattle is not a direct observation of natural selection. Natural selection is a process where organisms that are better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. So this process is natural and not influenced by human intervention. So on the other hand, selective breeding in cattle is actually a process where humans intentionally breed animals with desirable traits to produce offspring that can actually withstand certain environmental conditions. So that's it for that. Let's consider the next question. Question number 17. It says, the wings of bats and birds, flippers of whale, and the fins of fish are examples of A, vestigial organs, B, continuous variation, C, convergent evolution, and D, adaptive radiation. So guys, the wings of bats, birds, the flippers of whale, the fins of fishes are all examples of structures that have evolved independently in different groups of animals. So they serve similar function though, but this is known as convergent evolution. So in this case, the ability to fly, swim, or move through the water efficiently, respectively, has led to the development of these similar structures. So that's it for that question. You see that both bats and birds have wings, and then the flippers in whale is likened to the fins of the fish. But guys, this phenomenon here is convergent evolution. So let's consider the next question. Question number 18. It says, in natural selection, Darwin proposed that evolution occurred because of the following conditions, except A, that nature selects those that will survive to reduce their kind, B, food and other needs are abundant, C, there is a fierce competition among the offsprings, D, that the weaker offsprings are eliminated. So guys, the answer to this question is option B here, food and other needs are abundant. So let's consider the next question, question number 19. It says, the diagram below is an illustration of one of the theories of evolution. Study it and answer the question below. Right, so looking at this already, you should have had an idea of what this is all about. So the theory supports A, natural selection, B, the use and disuse of body parts, C, struggle for survival, and D, independent assortment. So guys, like we must have guessed rightly, the answer to this question will be option B, the use and disuse of body parts. So this is actually according to Jean Lamarck's theory, and this diagram we have here is usually used to express this theory or illustrate this theory in any ways. So this is actually a diagram of a giraffe trying to reach out to the trees which are high above. So you see the giraffe starts developing long necks over time. So this theory is that of the use and disuse of body parts. So let's consider the next and the last question, guys. Question number 20. It says, which of the following is not an evidence of evolution? A, fossil record, B, comparative embryology, C, polymorphism, and D, comparative anatomy. So guys, the answer to this question is option C here, polymorphism. Polymorphism is not an evidence of evolution. It actually refers to the occurrence of different forms or types of individual organisms in a species. So on the other hand, fossil records, comparative embryology, and comparative anatomy are all evidences of evolution. So that's it for this question, and this is where we end this video for today. So guys, if you enjoyed this lesson, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet a subscriber. Also, if you have any specific question regarding this video, you can drop your question on the comment section below and we'll ensure to give you a response. So we also want to encourage you to join our YouTube channel community by hitting the join button below, and we'll see you right there. So thank you once again for watching this video, and see you on the next one.